awakened the gods of old. We rise from our slumber to reveal our true power. Focus fire. Now to strike. Mortals have awakened the gods of old. We rise from our slumber to reveal our true power. Focus fire. Now to strike.
Yo, let's fucking go. Welcome in, everybody. How you doing? Oh, man. Sorry I wasn't live last night. I know I was supposed to be, but ran into some shit and couldn't do it. So, tonight, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do part 1 of the Hungarian Ottoman Wars. Just a small overview, and then the Battle of Mohawks, and we'll talk a little bit about the period of partition. Moving forward, we're going to do things a little bit differently. When talking about all the wars, we're going to start getting into the battles and looking at individual battles in between the war, or during the wars, rather, to get a little bit more of a detailed scope. So each individual section is going to wind up being a little bit longer. Probably go up to like 4 or 5 parts a section or a war or etc. Unless we're only talking about a specific battle or a specific person. Other than that, episodes like the Gulf War or Napoleon Wars, Hungarian Ottoman Wars, right? We're going to go a little bit deeper into it, a little bit more detailed, so that all of you get a better scope of what's going on. That being said, I'm going to fucking jump into this. Give me a second, let me pull this shit up. Let me pull this shit up. Alright. Bada bing. Let's fucking go, buddy. So, yeah, I just wanted to preface that. If you want to support the stream, click the link pinned at the top of the fucking chat or in the description. Keep the stream going longer. As it stands, I only have a couple of months until I might have to take a break, unless we can make streaming a little bit more incentivized for me, other than something that I do when I have the time to do it. Even though I spend as much time as one would basically on a full-time job, streaming, right, bringing this content for you guys, doing all the research and all that other stuff. But I enjoy it personally, so I'm not necessarily complaining about the no money making aspect of it. However, that being said, if my time does need to go to other things that do include making money, and that takes away from my ability to stream, well, that's unfortunate, but it has to happen. Unless streaming becomes an incentive for me to continue doing it on a more regular or more full-time basis. So let's get those shares out there. Let's build that subscribership. I'm at 111 now. Let's try to get to 200 by the end of November. That would be fucking awesome. Alright, moving on. Let's get fucking started with this. It's going to be a little bit shorter of a stream today, but that's okay. It's going to be a little bit of a longer one tomorrow, and then 3 hours. Halloween evening. And it'll be starting a little bit earlier. The night of Halloween, too. It'll be like 11:30, or maybe even 11, instead of fucking midnight 30. So that should be cool. I think that's all the announcements out of the way, other than after this stream, this Battle Tactics and War Strategies stream, I'll be taking a short 20-minute or so break, and then coming back to do some voice acting to make up for not being live last night like I promised to be. So, let's get into the Ottoman-Hungarian Wars. Without further ado, the Ottoman-Hungarian Wars were a series of battles between the Ottoman Empire and the medieval kingdom of Hungary. Following the Byzantine Civil War, the Ottoman capture of Gallipoli, and the decisive Battle of Kosovo, the Ottoman Empire was poised to conquer the entirety of the Balkans. It also sought and expressed desire to expand further north into Central Europe, beginning with the Hungarian lands. The initial Hungarian success culminated in the Crusade of Varna. If I have my mouse. Though without significant outside support, the Hungarians were defeated. Nonetheless, the Ottomans suffered more defeats at Belgrade, even after the conquest of Constantinople. In particular, Vlad the Impaler, with limited Hungarian help, resisted Ottoman rule until the Ottomans placed his brother, a man less feared and less hated by the populace, on the throne of Wallachia. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and, clarify that he wasn't necessarily hated by the public. He might have been feared, but he wasn't hated, right? To the people of Wallachia, his own people that he was intending on protecting, and I'm not talking about all the oligarchs and fucking assholes that he had, the traitorous dicks. We'll get into that during Vlad the Impaler. We're just going over an overview. Just know, not everybody hated the guy. He was actually kind of popular. Ottoman success once again halted at Moldavia due to Hungarian intervention, but the Turks finally succeeded when Moldavia and then Belgrade fell to Bayezid II and Suleiman the Magnificent, respectively. In 1526, the Ottomans crushed the Hungarian army at Mohacs, with King Louis II of Hungary perishing along with 26,000 soldiers. Following this defeat, the eastern region of the Kingdom of Hungary, mainly Transylvania, became an Ottoman tributary state, constantly engaged in civil war with Royal Hungary. Oh look, the Battle of Mohacs. And Belgrade. Wow, I fucking missed a lot here. Holy shit. Anyways. The war continued with the Habsburgs now asserting primacy in the conflict with Suleiman and his successors. Northern and most of the central parts of Hungary managed to remain free from Ottoman rule, but the Kingdom of Hungary, the most powerful state east of Vienna under Matthias I, was now divided and constantly threatened by Ottoman ambitions in the region. Pretty fucking crazy. The Battle of Mohacs. Mohawks. I don't know how to pronounce that name, so I'm going to call it Mohawks. The Battle of Mohawks. August 29th, 1526. Location: Mohacs, Hungary. Losses: Ottomans 2,000 of 60,000. Hungarian 18,000 of 35,000. Yeah, it was a pretty decisive victory. The Battle of Mohacs. A decisive defeat of Hungary led by King Louis II by the Turks of the Ottoman Empire, led by Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. This victory in Mohacs marked the effective destruction of the Hungarian monarchy and paved the way for Habsburg and Turkish domination in Hungary. In order to expand the Ottoman Empire into the heart of Europe, Suleiman would have to conquer the Kingdom of Hungary. The first stage to accomplishing this goal was the capture of Belgrade in 1521. Suleiman could then use Serbian territory to launch an invasion. The Hungarians knew that an attack was coming but could not win any support from other Christian powers. Suleiman's army made an uncontested crossing of the Drava River on a pontoon bridge, which took 5 days, while King Louis waited to face the invaders on a largely marshy plain at Mohacs. The Hungarians intended to rely upon the shock effect of their charging armored knights, but Suleiman had better balanced forces, including the infantry janissaries. Armed with arquebuses, Sipahi light cavalry, and formidable banks of cannon. The charge of Hungarian cavalry caused serious casualties to the Ottoman vanguard, but Suleiman's elite janissaries pushed back the Hungarians, who were also torn apart by Turkish cannon fire. As the Hungarians fell back, they were outflanked and encircled by the fast-moving Ottoman light cavalry. The Hungarian force was annihilated. King Louis of Hungary was thrown from his horse and killed as he tried to escape the carnage. Suleiman proceeded into Buda September 10th, but then withdrew from the country, taking more than 100,000 captives with him. The defeat at Mohacs was a disaster. that ended the existence of Hungary as an independent United Kingdom. A prolonged civil war ultimately resulted in the incorporation of the central and southern two-thirds of Hungary into the Ottoman Empire, and in the establishment of Transylvania and the eastern Hungarian provinces as an autonomous principality within the Ottoman Empire. And then, real quick, I just kind of want to go over this too. The Ottoman Empire was an empire created by the Turkish tribes in Anatolia, Asia Minor, that grew to be one of the most powerful states in the world during the 15th and 16th centuries. The Ottoman period spanned more than 600 years and came to an end only in 1922, when it was replaced by the Turkish Republic and various successor states in southeastern Europe and the Middle East. At its height, the empire encompassed most of southeastern Europe and to the gates of Vienna, including present-day Hungary, the Balkan region, Greece, and parts of Ukraine, portions of the Middle East, and now occupied by Iraq, Syria, Israel, and Egypt, North Africa as far west as Algeria, and large parts of the Arabian Peninsula. The term Ottoman is a dynastic appellation derived from Osman I, the nomadic Turkmen chief who founded both the dynasty and the empire about 1300. So that's the Ottoman Empire, right? And what they had caused was a period of fucking bullshit in Hungary, where they were fighting each other. Hungary basically became three countries. We'll get into that in a second. The period of partition. Since the Sultan had not meant to remain in Hungary, the disaster of Mohacs might have been overcome, and the king not perished. Or had there emerged a strong national leader who could have marshaled the army's resources. As it was, however, there were two claimants to Hungary's throne. John, who had served as voivode of Transylvania, and Ferdinand of Habsburg. Later, Holy Roman Emperor as Ferdinand I. Each had his supporters, and both of them were elected king by rival factions of the Hungarian nobility. This precipitated a civil war, which led to more chaos and weakened the country further. After each of the kings failed to drive out his rival, John appealed for the help of from Suleiman, who installed him in Buda, but at the expense of making him his vassal. This act limited Ferdinand's rule to the western third of the country. By secret agreement, the Treaty of Nagyvarad, mediated in 1538 by John's advisor, Grigori Martinuzzi, Friar George, Ferdinand was to succeed John upon his death. The agreement was upset when, just before he died, his wife bore a son whom the National Party recognized as king. The Sultan then decided to act for himself. He recognized the infant as king, but only as his own vassal in Hungary's eastern half, including Transylvania. In 1541, Suleiman occupied Buda and incorporated a great wedge of central and southern Hungary into his own dominions. Thus began Hungary's trisection. Ottoman Empire owned Hungary to the south. And then you have... Well, hold on, let me finish this. Thus began Hungary's trisection, which lasted for more than a century and a half. The country's western and northern fringes developed into Royal Hungary under the Habsburg rule. It's highlighted in red. Its eastern half grew into the Principality of Transylvania under the elected Hungarian princes, who were more or less vassals of the Ottoman Sultan, while the central wedge, including the former royal capital of Buda, became Turkish Hungary and was integrated into the administrative system of the Ottoman Empire. So again, you have Royal Hungary, then you have Transylvania, and then you have Ottoman Hungary down here, or Turkish Hungary, right in blue. In 1547, that's another thing. I'm trying to incorporate more maps into these streams. In 1547, Ferdinand concluded a truce with Suleiman and agreed to pay an annual tribute of 30,000 golden coins in return for recognition of his de facto rule over the territory then held by him. After this, the Sultan formally declared Transylvania an autonomous principality under his own suzerainty. In 1568, Ferdinand's successor, Maximilian II, was forced to recognize this arrangement. He continued to pay tribute and accepted the reduction of Royal Hungary to the western fringe of the country, the northwestern mountains, and Croatia. From that time on, the ruling princes of Transylvania followed a policy of semi-independence. They paid tribute to the Sultan and occasionally even to the Habsburgs, but they also introduced mercantilistic economic policies that generated prosperity. The most successful of these princes were Istvan Báthory. Later, King of Poland as Stefan Báthory, and Gabor Bethlin. The age of trisection was the bleakest in all of Hungarian history. Fighting and slave raiding, which went on even in times of nominal peace, reduced the whole south of the country to a wasteland occupied by only a few semi-nomadic Vlach herdsmen. Villages disappeared and fields reverted to swamp and forest. Behind the new frontier, the population was partially preserved to supply the garrisons. The landholders were replaced by Turkish officials and soldiers whose fiefs under the Timar system were neither heritable nor even always long-term, and who exploited the wretched cultivators to the maximum. Conditions were relatively tolerable only in those districts managed directly by the Ottoman government. Most of these districts lay along the two banks of the Tisza River, and people flocked into the great Mezovarosok or Opidi, towns that are still features of the area. They enjoyed a measure of protection, but the countryside between these towns was abandoned except for the scattered huts, or tanyak, in which the men spent summers scratching a precarious living from the soil. Damn, that kind of sucks. Quality of this map is a little shit, but whatever, we'll work with it. The Turks left Transylvania relatively unmolested. Martinuzzi devised a constitution based on earlier institutions consisting, under the prince, or representatives of three historic nations, quote-unquote, the Hungarians, the Saxons, and the Hungarian-speaking Zeklers, which would be highlighted in gold. Transylvania was also spared internecine religious strife when, at the Diet of Torda in 1568, the Roman Catholic, Calvinist, Lutheran, and Unitarian churches agreed to coexist on a basis of equal freedom and mutual toleration. Wow. The Greek Orthodox faith of the Vlachs, later called Romanians, who constituted the rest of the population, was not made part of this agreement, and it remained only a tolerated religion. Nor were the Vlachs recognized as one of the historic nations, quote-unquote, of Transylvania. Yep. Orthodox, man, always getting shitted on. Not really fair. Not really fair. Then okay, so I wanna read this part too. It's a little bit long, but it's kind of relevant. I mean, it's fucking relevant, but what the fuck is going on with this shit? Hold on 1 second. Fucking phone is being slow, buddy. Alright. In the first years after his accession, Ferdinand still hoped to bring the whole kingdom under his rule. He respected its constitution and its institutions and convoked the Diet regularly. But his hopes faded, and after his succession to the imperial crown in 1558, Royal Hungary became no more than a small outlying annex of his mighty dominions, as it was also an exposed one, without the resources to defend itself. Ferdinand and his successor, Maximilian II, organized a chain of fortresses that stood opposite a similar chain of fortifications organized by the Ottomans on their side of the frontier. Many of the larger Habsburg fortresses were garrisoned mostly by German and other Western mercenaries, and the smaller ones by Hungarian troops, who, not being paid regularly, usually lived off the land. This chain of Habsburg fortresses was complemented by a defensive deployment of military frontier, inhabited by Serb and Vlach refugees from the Balkans and administered from Vienna. The Hungarians complained that they were being ruled and exploited as a subject people by foreigners, while Vienna looked on them as truculent rebels. Matters grew worse when Maximilian was succeeded by the mentally unbalanced Rudolf II, whose advisors hated Hungary and its traditions, and a religious conflict supervened on the constitutional dispute, for in the preceding half-century the Reformation had swept over Hungary. Religious antagonism played an important part when the war between the Holy Roman Empire and the Turks broke out again in 1591. In the 15 Years' War, imperial troops entered Transylvania, and their commander, George Basta, behaved there with such insane cruelty towards the Hungarian Protestants that a Transylvanian general, Istvan Bocskay, that name's actually kind of hard. There's a lot of consonants where there shouldn't be consonants. Formerly a Habsburg supporter, revolted. His army of wild freebooters drove out Basta, and in June 1606, Bocskay settled with Rudolf the Peace of Vienna, which left him prince of an enlarged Transylvania and also guaranteed the rights of the Protestants of Royal Hungary. Bocskay then mediated the Peace of Svitorak in November 1606 between the Emperor and the Sultan, which kept a territorial status quo but relieved the Emperor of his tribute to the Sultan. The legend. Alright. This is the last little piece here. These two treaties ushered in a new era. The balance of power began to shift from the Ottomans toward the Habsburgs. The princes of Transylvania took advantage of this, and the principality entered a half-century of prosperity. A scramble for power followed Boxkay's death in 1606, but in 1613, the Sublime Porte, the Ottoman government, imposed the election of Garber Bethlin, who proved the most competent of all the Hungarian princes of Transylvania. At home, Bethlen's rule was thoroughly despotic. Through his monopoly of foreign trade and his development of the principality's internal resources, he almost doubled his revenues, devoting the proceeds partially to the upkeep of the sumptuous court and partially to the maintenance of the standing army. Keeping peace with the Porte, he often intervened against the emperor in the 30 Years' War and safeguarded the rights of Protestants in Royal Hungary. Under the Treaty of Nikolsburg, Bethlin gave up the royal title along with the Holy Crown of Hungary. He had been elected king by the Hungarian estates and lands under his control in 1620, but declined to accept the crown even though the Porte approved his election. Being a Protestant, he did not wish to antagonize the Catholic Hungarian magnates. At the same time, Bethlin retained the title of Prince of Transylvania and Hungary. He also gained a big extension of the principality and a duchy in Silesia. Besides further guarantees for the Protestants of Royal Hungary. The fucking legend. Man, I know this is an absolutely short as fuck episode. But tomorrow will be a little bit longer. And then, again, we'll be going over Vlad the Impaler. So we're just kind of creeping up. Just creeping up to the old Vlad the Impaler. Sneaking up on him like a ninja. Like a real ninja. We're just gonna sneak up on the old Vlad the Impaler. On the next episode tomorrow night, technically tonight, Wednesday into Thursday, not Thursday into Friday. So Wednesday night into Thursday night, midnight 30, we'll be going over the background, like the lead up to the Ottoman fucking the Ottoman Hungarian wars. Sorry for the fucking ridiculous shit. And then we'll be getting into some of the campaigns that lead up to the fucking, you know it, the myth, the man, the legend, Vlad the Third, commonly known as Vlad the Impaler, or Vlad Dracula. You fucking know it. We're gonna get it done. That being said, that is all I had for you tonight. Again, I know it's a short episode, but there was a lot of information to kind of soak in. A little bit more detailed again. So, that's what we're going to do moving forward. The shows will get a little bit longer, right? But there's going to be more detail jam-packed into each episode to kind of give a more complete overview, right? Again, I want to give you guys super detailed fucking awesome information. The best fucking stories one could possibly provide to the public. And they all come from fucking history. So, no better place to learn it than fucking here. Wait, this ain't Cornhub? I think your link's broken. Aw, shit. Well, nope, it's not Cornhub. It is not Cornhub. Shit, man. People still use the hub? What the fuck? I thought OnlyFans took everything over. Like, don't you have to pay for both anyways? Like, at least with OnlyFans, you'd get to, like, kind of think you're interacting with the fucking OnlyFans chick, even though it's probably some dude she pays $5 a week who lives in fucking India. But, like, let's be real, though. That's how they fucking do it, man. They don't fucking chat with you. It's not how that shit works. You got other shit to do. Shit, they got some dude in India chatting with you while they're out there making more content. That would be the business smart thing to do. Fuck. I'm not trying to promote OF. Fuck that shit. Get it out of here. Get it out of here. Same thing with the hub. Get that shit out of here, too. Ugh. 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 What kind of guy wants to look at another guy's pee-pee? That's just gross. Evidently, the one who fucking decided to chop off Napoleon's during his autopsy. Dick move, bro. Dick move. Yeah, I'm gonna keep coming back to that. That's a fucking dick move. An even bigger dick move is the fucking chick that has it on her display panel. Just fucking chilling in her house. For whatever research purposes. Yeah, we know what you're researching, you sick. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. However, this episode of Battle Tactics and War Strategies has come to a conclusion. We can continue to bullshit here in about 20 or 30 minutes or so when I boot up the next fucking stream and we start fucking gaming and voice acting, but mostly gaming because there's more gaming than there is dialogue. Which will change when I do Final Fantasy VI. There's a fuck ton of dialogue in that game, and there's a bunch of characters. And for my Yu Yu Hakusho fans out there, I'm gonna voice Sabin as Kuwabara from Yu Yu Hakusho again. Because it was fucking epic. It fit. It fucking fit perfectly last time. Like, Sabin's whole character just fucking fits with Kuwabara from Yu Yu Hakusho. That's just how it is. So that's how that's going down. But that's the next game. That's not the game we're currently playing. Nor is that a part of this stream. That being said, I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you're at in the world. Enjoy your time because it may be limited. You never know. Mexico might declare war on the United States. And your life might not actually be in that much danger at all. I don't know why I chose that as an option. Like, that is literally the least of the worldly threats that I could have pulled out from under the fucking table. I chose Mexico declaring the war. You know what? Enjoy your time, because even though you might not, that might not limit your time, it would still suck if the United States went to war with Mexico. Let's hope that doesn't fucking happen so that we can all continue to enjoy our time. As for me, I will be back in about fucking 25, 30, in between 25 and 35 minutes ish. Maybe. Definitely right around 2 a.m. Central Standard Time. It is currently 1:24 to put that into perspective. But, as for me, the longer I push this, the longer I'm gonna take to come back. So I'll see y'all later.
just wish he knew. I just wish he knew.